if you must use the master's tool to get to a place where you begin to examine your own indigeneity, the least you can do is seek one that liberates all and not just yourself. As people of diasporic origin, living authentically means delving deep into our cultural legacy burdens. At Rich Queer Aunties, we go beyond financial success, embracing rich insights, truth, and authenticity. Join me, Christabel, a nurse leader, writer, and African auntie, as I share insights and practical resources such as self-care strategies, mindfulness practices, and deep cultural analysis. Drawing from my experiences overcoming a controlling religious and traditional African background to embracing life as an openly gay woman, I've gathered knowledge to help you live fully and authentically. Each episode aims to help you uncover your subconscious narratives, prioritize your mental health, and nurture a meaningful community that truly reflects who you are. We'll explore how merging our heritage of collectivism with individualism can lead to a peaceful state of interdependence. Consider this podcast your sanctuary to redefine success, discover joy in the everyday, and reshape the narratives that have defined you. Stay connected and deepen your journey by joining our community on Instagram or engage with our discussions on Substack. Let's explore what it means to live authentically together. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. We're Rich Queer Aunties.
Are you excited to be a permanent feature on the podcast?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about that. People seem to really love it on here.
Mm-hmm. I think Maya seems to really love us on here.
If you're just listening and you're not seeing a video, our dog, Maya, one of our 3 dogs, is just like planted right
in the
center of us because she is a picky.
We love you, Maya.
Okay, let's get into it. So I've been having what I've been calling a brainy day, where I'm thinking a lot. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts, and just constantly thinking in line with personal liberation, collective liberation. And during one of these sessions that happened today, I was thinking about this whole idea of pursuing a self-led PhD, right? It's going to be an analysis of the African immigrant experience, healing, being queer, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So today, let's talk about healing, therapy, meditation, all these modalities that we go to seek healing. That is Western or Eastern, not African, not West African. We talk about indigeneity, but I don't know that it's always reflected in the modalities that we seek when we are pursuing our personal healing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I can definitely relate to that. It makes sense that we're here right now, seeking forms of healing that are accessible to us, especially in where we've been positioned in society right now. The intersections that we come across in our experiences, it makes sense that we have found ourselves using the tools that have been set to liberate people, to use it to liberate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So healing came about for me as a way to just like, I need to take a break from all of the noise and all of the people and all of the performance of it all. The first way I've been able to like navigate healing is to look at therapy, for instance. Like just even that language of therapy wasn't something that I grew up knowing existed.
So it's interesting, right? Because for me, as an African immigrant, you as a first-gen African, I think we inhabit a very particular intersection that I don't know that is talked about enough. I feel like the immigrants we know about are people such as your parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
The older people. I don't know that there's enough conversation around people like me. I'm only 39 and I've been an immigrant for 18 years. So the younger immigrants who are looking to heal, who have developed this language around healing, in some ways, it feels like we're the first generation of people to be here doing this work in this way. And when I think of what Audre Lorde said about the master's tool will never dismantle the master's house, and applying it in this context, where for me, it was getting into talk therapy, and it was staying in talk therapy for as long as I stayed in talk therapy that enabled me to come home to myself in many ways. And it's somewhat of a master's tool, isn't it?
Yeah. Therapy is not one of the pathways your parents teach you about when becoming an adult or just like navigating the world. Therapy isn't even talked about in church, for instance. So we have to find the lowest hanging fruit towards our healing because it's not something that's in our social circles. I didn't know anyone in my family that was talking about therapy, not even doing therapy. I knew a lot of family members that were not mentally well. We knew about that. Therapy was never an option, like at all. It was church and medicating.
What do you mean medicating?
Like getting a diagnosis and getting medicine from a doctor.
Oh, you had that available to you in your family?
At least that conversation was, because I had a lot of family members that were in the medical industry. My mom was a nurse.
Okay.
A few family members were doctors. So they would advise. You know what I mean? When somebody would advise you, here's something that you can do. There was never advice from someone saying, try therapy.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Psychotherapy, psychiatry, I'm surprised.
And that's the privilege that I had access to as a first generation African in the diaspora. That was a conversation.
Yeah. So then what made you said it felt like the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
After healing, what made you pluck that fruit?
I was in a very deep romantic relationship with my ex-partner, and I was having a hard time coming to terms with expressing myself fully as a queer person within my relationship. So I did not believe that there was something wrong with me. I had suppressed myself so much that I was living in a space of denial of my identity. One being that I am queer, I was in a queer relationship, and that I could not accept it fully. And therapy helped me just see myself and have language to speak about my truth.
That's exactly what I mean. Because when you found yourself at that crossroad of you want to feel true to yourself, you want to stop hiding, you want to recognize your innermost self, what indigenous tools would you have known to reach for in that moment?
I knew nothing.
Right?
I knew nothing. I was at the point where I felt I had to let go of everything that I was ever taught about myself, because one of the deepest pains that I experienced as a teenager coming into my 20s was that being queer was not African.
So what other master's tool did you use? Because I've heard you talk about using rock music as an avenue as well.
Yeah, in my teens, rock music especially was one of the platforms that was filled with so much expression of angst and rage that was acceptable by American culture. And I loved it so much. That and pop romance music, because it helped me express this deep desire and affection that I embrace so fully. That was a time I would find myself writing lyrics and poems. That's when I started expressing my artistry and writing. And speaking about my love to whoever I was trying to woo at the time.
That's why I wanted to talk about this, right? Because I think there's so much discourse around, oh my gosh, therapy is not of us. It's not our tradition. It's not our culture. We don't talk about our feelings in that way. And the most we can do is go to a church counselor. And even then, we're directed back to the Bible, back to scripture, back to, these religious doctrines. But for some of us, that is the inroad into coming back to ourselves, discovering our indigeneity for ourselves. Because for me personally, I had a different experience than you did, right?
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Africa.
Yeah.
I grew up in Nigeria. I grew up in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
And so even going back home now and seeing the girls I grew up with who didn't have access to the things that coming to America gave me access to, and the language I gained, they are still stuck in a place. They're having multiple children. They don't have the money. They're in relationships with men that are abusive. And sometimes I look at it and I try not to get into my little Western saviorism complex where I'm like, oh, poor them. And there's still this realization that I have access to language. I have access to therapy. I have access to these healing modalities that many of my counterparts in Africa do not have access to. And they would have had access to the indigenous forms of those healing modalities if our growth as a continent hadn't been hindered by colonialism.
I agree.
If our methodologies weren't erased and stolen and repackaged, we were interrupted. Our growth as a people, as a continent, was interrupted in such a horrendous way for centuries.
And ongoing.
Exactly. What I have realized in my healing journey is that no matter the fact that I started the healing process with therapy, I have gotten to a point where I'm feeling a longing to return back to something, the something I have to discover for myself, because my mom doesn't know it. My mom doesn't know our indigenous spiritual practices because it was forbidden. So I find myself at a juncture of how would our healing and indigenous methods have evolved over the century. So I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
In your healing journey, was there a moment when you felt the absence of that indigenous healing practice? When did rock music and therapy and meditation, mindfulness, whatever, when did it begin to feel like, not enough? I might need something else.
I started to ask questions about my spirituality. I grew up Catholic. It is very structured, it's very regimented, and there are all these rituals that were taking majority part of my imagination. And it took being by myself. It took meeting people who were from other parts of the world and realizing that the church was not going to save me. Being around Africans who were in the church was not going to save me. It was recognizing that it was not okay for me to feel unsafe and still interact with people that made me feel unsafe. I just stopped being okay with the bare minimum, especially when it came to my spiritual growth. And I started learning about herbs, learning the meaning of mineral crystals, energy, color therapy, and art therapy. I started exploring all of those things, which then led me to ask the question, where were Africans involved in this conversation? Were we even involved in this conversation? Is this all there is? And the answer that started to come to me like, no, there's actually more. There's more to be questioned internally about my heritage and about my people. And I started reading and looking for literature to help me dig deep into African spirituality, into African ontology, into African mythology. The kinds of literature and work that started to come out was not only the Chimamanda and the Chinua Achebe, but I discovered Akweke, and their work reminded me that I existed before this time period.
When you were talking about when you separated yourself from Catholicism, it made me think of not all of the master's tools are made equal. You have to choose, because we are in a society that is inundated by their tools. It's their tools that come to the surface when you begin to search, aka the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
What I find in a lot of African communities is that they go for the master's tools that oppress even further, i.e. religion, Christianity. They remain comfortable with those tools. And those tools oppress queerness or gender expressions that are outside the binary. Those tools are not liberatory of all people, because I think sometimes our people focus on self only. They're like, oh, I'm straight. I just want a man to marry. Nothing that is being taught in these doctrines are brushing against my identity in a way that I can't manage. And so they stay there. My challenge for people who find themselves in church, surrounded by church people still, is to remember that if they are saying that therapy is not of us, they have to also, in that same breath, say that Christianity and religion in that way is not of us either. I don't like the selective amnesia that happens where just like, oh, I can't do that white people thing. I can't do that American thing therapy, but I'm going to go to church and worship a white Jesus because I feel comfortable and it's not challenging my sexuality or my queerness or my gender. Think outside yourself. If you must use the master's tool to get to a place where you begin to examine your own indigeneity, the least you can do is seek one that liberates all and not just yourself. So I just wanted to point that out when you were talking. That's what came to my mind.
I think people really feel comfortable going along with culture and systems that won't make you stand out. Being in the church and everything, it's a safe and unsafe place, but people will accept that unsafety over anything else that's true and can expose you to feeling vulnerable.
And that's why I'm forever grateful that I'm queer.
Absolutely.
Because it is in that queerness that I found my freedom. What made me go search it?
Accepting vulnerability allowed me to find true connection in myself and in people who are also expressing their vulnerability.
Yes, absolutely. I feel a level of like sadness for people who think they're straight or people who are straight and how comfortable they are with the status quo, how comfortable they are with just staying stagnant, staying still, because they think their destiny is to marry and have children and procreate. And so being a part of church, give them that.
Yeah, people are really comfortable with community that are not safe for themselves, for their family too.
That's the thing. A lot of them are.
But they accept that unhappiness.
They're unsafe. They're moving in ways that are not of us, not of our ancestors, not of our indigenous inheritance. That's where we start this conversation. Whichever master's tool you chose, when do you say to yourself,
when do you cringe? Yeah, when will it make you vomit? Yeah.
Like it has to revolt you.
Yeah. Actually, no, there was a point, and this is a very vulnerable tip for me to share. A reverend deacon in this Nigerian Igbo Catholic church I used to go to started hitting on me, and I brought it to my parents and to the reverend father. They essentially brushed it under the rug. That's when I had my bleh. I was just like, oh, all y'all motherfuckers are gross. I think people have just learned to stomach like gross shit for so long that like No wonder. Like, no wonder.
Okay, so I'm told you.
You know what I mean?
I will match that vulnerability with one of my own. I was 16 years old, engaged to a 36-year-old man in the church that everyone was just happy about because it meant that I wasn't going to be wild and crazy because I was about to go into college. I remember that experience because when I eventually went to the elders, it took so much convincing because they kept saying, he bought you a ring and you were showing it off. And my mom was saying you were happy and you would put him in our face talking about you as a man. I'm just like, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. If a 16-year-old little girl is bragging that they're engaged to a 36-year-old man,
and y'all didn't ask
say,
questions. Are you okay?
Jehovah's Witnesses, they love to disfellowship people. Isn't that a disfellowshable offense? You're 36. She is barely turning 16. That is gross.
Yeah. That's gross.
It took so much convincing on my part to be like, oh my God, he is having sex with me and I don't want that anymore. For them to be like, okay, maybe we should look into that. But it took so long. He moved me into college.
Hey.
You see what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So a lot of people have become comfortable with gross ass shit. And so when you say to them, hey, there's another way you could heal, you could seek healing, seek a different, you can just like open your eyes. They're like, oh, that is not of us. Well, I'm like, that's not of us either. Why are you choosing that grossness?
People are really sad to be alone and to confront who they are.
Be that as it may, queerness as a lens for healing, queerness as a catapult towards healing is something I forever remain grateful to.
Me too.
Because I didn't start looking into therapy until I was in my most serious relationship I had been at that point in time with a woman. It wasn't until then that I was like, let me look into this.
Yeah.
I might not have learned how to relate and be and love and receive and give love in a relationship from my family of origin. I might not have learned this in my church. Let me look into how I can be different, do different.
Shout out to queer relationships, to being the catalyst for seeing yourself and loving yourself and asking to be loved and practicing love with another person.
So those of you who listen to us, this is an invitation to examine the inheritance you've received, to see where it serves you. Even if you think it serves you, if it's not serving the collective, it is what there is no serving of self without serving of the most vulnerable and the most marginalized in our community. You can't just say, I'm comfortable with my church, whereas your church is not a safe space for your queer friends, family members, siblings. You have to challenge that. And using therapy or other modalities such as that as stepping stone into doing that work worthwhile.
For us, it's queerness, and for others, it might be something totally different. Honestly, I think it's love. Because if we're really getting down to the depths of it, being in a relationship that asks of you to show unconditional love, to express compassion and to express vulnerability and gratitude, that's the basis of it, is love.
And not playing into the hands of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's love divorced from patriarchy. It's love divorced from homophobia. It's love divorced from transphobia. That is love. So it might not be queerness for them, but it ought to be commitments to collective healing and collective growth. So I am healing myself by doing all these things. But how do I come back to a lineage of my ancestors before me? How do I find my way back there? How do I find my way back to a place where I connect to others who were before me? In that space, help liberate those who are still not as far further along in their journey as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I've had to hold the hand of those who have gone before me.
Mm-hmm.
How can I reach out to those who are still coming, who are still finding their way, who are still in the closet, who are still a shadow of themselves, who are still scared to talk back to their dads, who still don't know how to dress because they haven't found themselves? That's what healing looks like for me at this place.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer about me learning how to use I statements. That's the kind of stuff therapy helped me with. How to use I statements, how to communicate effectively, how to own my emotions and separate my emotions from that of the person I'm dealing with. We've done that work. That work was important. That work was the foundation. But we are in a place where we're just like, how can we hold space for people to show up as themselves? How can we help people be themselves? That's what I'm interested in. And that's what indigeneity means to me. That's what looking at if colonialism had not interrupted our evolution, what would it have looked like? And I firmly believe that it would have looked like us being able to hold space for ourselves and each other, hold each other and ourselves to account. Accountability, deep love, deep dialogue, rage. That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in the sanitized version of therapy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I statements, nonviolent communication. I speak, you speak. I reflect back to you what you said to me. All that stuff had a place, but we're not staying there. Because ultimately, when we talk about the master's tools, a lot of that stuff was stolen from indigenous communities and repackaged and sanitized to serve whiteness and to serve the patriarchy. So then if we're not serving the patriarchy, then it means that we can wield our righteous rage for community. With each other.
Yeah.
We can stand being displeased.
Mm-hmm.
We can stand being pleased
Mm-hmm.
with each other.
Yeah. It's like we almost sanitize our ability to react.
Yeah.
That's like
white healing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah.
That my ancestors will be able to hold someone who fucked up and bring them in the center of the circle and say to them, you fucked up. And this is not up to interpretation. You fucked up. That person tells you fucked up. That person tells you fucked up. But we are here for you. We are here with you. We're here to see you make amends. Take accountability, name it, grow from it. So for me, that's where I choose to stretch myself beyond the Western
master's tool
modality.
Because I think it's in the accountability phase that people stop.
Or they will spend time consuming media that shows who is a red flag, who is a green flag. How can you identify the narcissist? How can you just pointing outward always without realizing that what lies within them lies within us. Our ability to hold space for people is directly proportionate to their ability to hold space for us. And what does it look like to create those spaces where that is what Indigenous healing means to me today? Creating spaces of rawness. Come as you are, but know that if you fuck up, you will be called out on your ass. And you're going to know that you have the option to apologize.
And do fucking better.
Do better, to make amends. And you will be welcomed back. I am in the space of platonic romantic relationships where my friends are everything to me, because that feels indigenous to me. When I am no longer saddled by romantic relationships and reserving affection and care for my romantic relationship, when I can move beyond that to include my cherished friend, that feels antithetical to the master's tool. So that's the work I'm doing now. That's the whole point of anything now for me. It's not talking about if you yell when you're angry, or if you keep silent when you're angry, your nervous system is not regulated. And I only hang out around people who have regulated nervous system. And no shade to anyone who is still at that juncture of their journey. I am just interested in reminding them that there is a step further from that. That's not the stopping point, because if you stop there, it would leave all of us even lonelier than we currently are. And people are motherfucking lonely. That much I know.
So true.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I think it just reminds me of how people are really afraid of deep intimacy because it will require a level of work that you can't use anything to bypass it. And I see why people pick master's tools, because it will just keep you feeling okay, feeling lonely and unsafe. Whereas loneliness is not our inherent birthright. We were born to be interconnected, to be intimate with each other, to be connected with each other. It's sad that we as a people have gotten so comfortable existing in that space, but I also dream of so much more for us in the future, even like right now in our existence. I dream of so much more for us to challenge our notion of safety, to challenge our value systems, to query our spiritual identities, to query our relationships, query our family dynamic, and to just vomit over the shit that repulses us.
Low-key, I don't even care if people are comfortable disrupting things, because sometimes disruption comes with discomfort.
Yeah, I think people just really feel like scared doing it anyway, because the journey thereforth is going to be real as shit.
And you don't have to do it alone. And this is the beautiful thing of the internet. If you're hearing something new for the first time, something where you feel like resonates with you, all you need to do is comment about it. Like, send it to a friend. Repost it, whether we like it or not. That's how we send out the antennas to find the people who are our people. These are my values. What do you think? Let's talk. Let's connect.
It's not so intrusive when everyone has been thinking about it. That's what I've been asking of myself a lot lately, to not stomach bullshit, to not suppress nonsense, to call that shit out and relieve myself, because I've internalized wanting to hold the burden of people's guilt and shame and disgust. That's true. I've been practicing it with you, and that's what queer relationships help me fucking do. Like, really true, deeply loving and caring queer relationships will help you do that. And now I'm able to like call bullshit in my parents, in my siblings, in my friends, in my community, to myself. That's like the heaviest thing to really sit with, because I can't get away from myself. I will come back to me again and I'll be like, girl, you did that. You know, that's not right. Please apologize, to help us continue to coexist and live in love. Because if we're not doing this work, we might as well be dying. And I'm not choosing to die right now. So if I'm choosing to live, let me work on knowing how to love, care, and show more gratitude.
I love that.
With the people that I'm choosing to be with.
My question to you out there is, what tools have helped you in your healing journey? What are you utilizing? Is it indigenous? Did you consent to it? Are you actually healing? Or are you still stuck in a delusion, be it religious or otherwise, that you inherited. So let us know. We are interested in having robust conversations about this. Do you have any questions for the people?
What have you had to stomach this year that needs to be purged? What have you stomached up until this year that needs to be purged and released?
Questions that need answers. Questions that need answers.
So yeah, how can you confront that with yourself and those that need it?
Ay, ay, ay. I'm going to have to answer this one.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dope, but like, it's you can always query deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Can't we? That's it for us. Check us out everywhere you listen to podcasts. It's Christabel and
Kachi.
Yes, and we're doing Rich Credit Aunties together now. We're excited. If you have any questions for us, drop it in the freaking comment box. Send this over to friends. Review us. Give us the stars. Let's get popping because I think people need to hear it from two queer Nigerian
Igbo
people. Women out here just trying to say we exist.
Yeah.
And we can exist in a plane that is different than that which we inherited.
Mm-hmm.
So, catch you on the flip side.
I like that.
Okay.
Bye.
So if you enjoyed this podcast, please rate it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. The ratings matter so much. The reviews matter. And if you think you know at least one person who can benefit from this, please share it with them. It means the world to me. And until next time, take care of yourself.